Welcome back. All right, another news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Wednesday, September the 27th. I had talked earlier about whether or not I was going to watch a game. I had forgotten that Yvonne and I are headed out tonight. It's a good thing that when you have tickets for something, you get an email saying, "Remember, you have tickets for this thing tonight." So yeah, I forgot about that. But anyways, yeah, so we're not going to be home, which may mean things happen, right? That's usually the case. But at any rate, let's talk about things that are happening right now involving National Hockey League teams, starting with Calgary. Again, Mikael Backlund reportedly signing a 2-year extension with the team worth $4.5 million per season. Very reasonable cap hit, 34 years of age. So this may very well be to the end of his career. He's likely to be named team captain as well. So he has this year on this contract and then 2 years beyond it. So 3 years takes him to 37. His current cap hit is $5.35 million as well. So the cap hit drops by about $800,000, and Backlund ends up being captain in all likelihood. So Backlund's played this well. The Flames have played it well. And now we'll see what they do regarding Hanifin and Lindholm. Having Backlund signed should also mean that the fear that everybody was just going to leave Calgary, that should go away. So good on Backlund. Patrick Kane, there's a video out there of him working out, showing that he's skating, he's on the ice. It's a little different than taking contact in practice or actually playing in a game situation, but it's encouraging that he's getting himself into shape. And there's a belief that he's a few weeks away from signing. He's been very clear he doesn't want to sign a contract until he knows he's able to play. So that's what he's waiting for, is to be 100%, and then he can sign the contract. And we'll all act surprised if it's Buffalo, right? We'll all act surprised. Anyways, so Kane's getting that step closer to coming back and playing. Jujhar Khaira, we've been talking about tryouts, and there's players being released from tryouts today as well. But Jujhar Khaira is in tomorrow's lineup for the Minnesota Wild. That is the third straight game he will have played for the Minnesota Wild during the preseason, and that tells you there's a good bet that one of two things are happening. Either the Wild want to get a really good look at him and decide how he fits in, or that he's very likely to get a contract. But either way, Jujhar Khaira putting in the work during the preseason to earn himself a contract, which is why I made note when I was talking about the games tonight that the Canes have some guys on PTOs that are in the lineup, because those are players that you want to watch. They're the ones that should be making that effort to prove that they're better than other guys who might be penciled into roster spots and force their way in there to, at the very least, get a contract. So Elliot Friedman talking about Trevor Zegras and Jamie Drysdale. There's really not much to update on. So this was reported not too long ago, and Friedman doubling down on the idea that it's a 3-year deal for Zegras. They just can't agree on the term, or on the money. So the term they can agree on, the money they cannot agree on. And he's saying that he hasn't heard there's any agreement even on term when it comes to Jamie Drysdale. So really in the dark when it comes to Drysdale and Zegras. And for GM Pat Verbeek, this is his first foray into a potential ugly situation with a player. And then you get into the discussion of, so if Zegras does sign, and he doesn't really have any leverage, but if he does sign, if these were hotly contested, highly contentious negotiations, does that affect whether or not he wants to stay long term? I don't think it necessarily does. But, yeah, we'll see what happens with Anaheim and when they get signed. One thing, of course, work in Anaheim's favor. They're not expected to be a playoff team anyways, so you can kind of play hardball with both players. Vancouver announcing that the night for Luongo to be inducted into the Ring of Honor is December the 14th, before a game against Florida, because it has to be the game against Florida where you're going to induct him. I do not have tickets to that game, but I think it'll be great to see his name in the Ring of Honor. Vancouver, I think, has been smart with which numbers get retired and don't, but this has renewed the discussion about whether or not to retire his number. I will agree with the idea that they could retire the number 1 for both Luongo as well as Kirk McLean. I don't know if any goaltender in Vancouver is going to wear the number 1 again, but that is traditionally the goaltender's number. We'll see whether or not it does happen with Vancouver. But him being inducted into the Ring of Honor, I think, is fine. The discussion of whether or not he should have his jersey retired will be out there. But for now, yeah, Ring of Honor works just fine, I think, for both the player and the franchise. So Luongo, who had a nice, solid run with Vancouver, nice to see he'll be going into the Ring of Honor. on December the 14th. Sad news today involving Assistant General Manager Chris Snow of the Calgary Flames, and I wanted to separate this from the Backlund news. Thus, the reason this is at the bottom of the board, but circling back to Calgary. So he's the Assistant General Manager for the Calgary Flames. He was diagnosed with ALS in 2019. ALS can be very debilitating, and apparently suffered a cardiac arrest, which led to a catastrophic brain injury, and the doctors do not feel that he will wake up from that incident. So his wife posting about this on social media. My thoughts go out to her as well as the rest of the family, the friends, and anybody in the Calgary organization. They've done their best, the Flames have, to make sure that Snow can work and that his schedule is completely up to him. And so I think the Flames were really very accommodating with Snow. Snow seeming like a very personable and far too young for this kind of a health issue. So that's sad news in the Calgary organization. My thoughts, my condolences go out to them, to the family of the affected individual, as well as anybody that knew him. Because again, it sounds like he's been a great guy to be around and has been a useful part of the Calgary organization. So on that note, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for all your support. As always, I will talk to you again soon.